Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this Poshan Mah of 2022, which is the first Poshan Mah after the pandemic's waned. Our idea today is to take the viewers through the work that we are doing at Sitara IIT Bombay in the Center of Excellence for Child Nutrition. We call it CHINU. But it's not just child nutrition, it is child nutrition and health. And we are also looking at certain issues of public health on a larger perspective. Now I will begin with our short PPT presentation, which will take the viewers through the journey from NFHS 4 to NFHS 5. What I am showing here is something which each of us can do by using a very user-friendly website, and we'll also give that reference as we go along. It's a mapping website for NFHS 4 data and NFHS 5 data. NFHS 4 actually, that is the National Family Health Survey, the fourth round, was the first survey round ever which provided data representative at the district level. And this is an important distinction one has to understand. NFHS 1, NFHS 2 and NFHS 3 were surveys where data was representative at the level of a state, not below that. NFHS 4 first time provided data representative at the state level, and that made considerable difference. It informed the policy, it informed the program implementation in many crucial ways. And the Poshan Abhiyan, which has been launched, I think was also strongly informed. I wouldn't use the term influenced, but certainly strongly informed through the NFHS 4 data and the evidence thereof. Interestingly, the NFHS 5, that is National Family Health Survey 5, it followed in quick succession in 4 years' time. Now, you may wonder why I call 4 years a quick succession. The earlier NFHS rounds usually had a 10-year gap between the two rounds. So quite often what would happen is 2-3 years down the line, a general view will prevail that this data are now old, and certainly 7-8 years down the line people will say, well, let's wait for the next round. So one must commend the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare that they have brought down this gap to about 4 years. And I understand that the next NFHS 6 round will also come with more or less a short gap. So it helps us to plan better. Of course, NFHS 5, the what we call unit level data, that has been released only recently, but it will give adequate raw material for the research community to look at these issues of maternal and child health and nutrition and draw their own conclusions or come up with marshal evidence which will help the state and the central governments in policy changes and in program implementation. The second interesting thing, just as NFHS was the first ever data at the district level, together NFHS 4 and NFHS 5 give us a district level time series data. Now this is another first. It's a time series data. People can say that IHDS does the same thing, but the IHDS's remit is much different. NFHS 4 and NFHS 5 is a much more detailed data. So this is the first time that we will get good district level panel data. IHDS doesn't give us data at the district level. Now, having said all this, we are excited, but are there no potholes on the road? Are there no small bumps? Well, National Family Health Survey 4, round 4, had the data for 640 districts. All of you know, districts in India do keep changing, new districts do get formed. NFHS 5 has data for 709 districts. So that may bring in a few issues of comparison. Plus, there are some new districts which have come up, and we will see in the NFHS 5 map for new districts for which NFHS does not give a separate fact sheet. But nevertheless, we can make fairly useful comparisons. And let us first look at the all India level, and then we will go to the state level. At the all India level, let's see how the story unfolded along three facets of malnutrition. Now, this is something important. When we talk of malnutrition, we look at whether it is underweight, that means whether the child is underweight for his or her age, whether it is stunting, which means the height is adequate for the age or not, or wasting, whether the weight is commensurate with the height of the child, and who really decides what is commensurate, what is appropriate. So there are standard growth charts. We'll come to that towards later part of our presentations. But it suffices to say that there are standards, and therefore we need to look at stunting, underweight, wasting, and within wasting there is a worrying segment or subset, that is severe wasting. Now let us see, and it's also important to look at it separately for the urban areas and for the rural areas. So NFHS gives us the data in terms of urban, rural and total. It gives us data for stunting, underweight, wasting and severe wasting. At this stage we are not getting into the gender dimension of it. We'll do it subsequently. So what do we really see? What we see is rural has performed fine in all the three facets. The decline in stunting from 41% to 37%, the decline in underweight again by about from 38 to nearly 34 is okay, not great declines, but okay. Wasting has come down from 21.4 to 19.5 by about 2%. But severe wasting remains a concern. If you are quite careful to see, it has actually gone up marginally. Now, what does that gone up marginally mean? Severe wasting has marginally gone up and wasting has come down, which means severely wasted children as a fraction of children who are facing wasting has actually increased. Now we will look at that in some depth at a later stage. Let's come back to the overall story. Vis-a-vis rural, urban reductions are relatively sluggish. Now this is very interesting. Urban has the wherewithal to address malnutrition. But in urban, I mean, you have the money, you have the personnel, you have the connectivity, everything. But urban reductions have been sluggish, and there severe wasting has stagnated. Now this is something which we need to note and of course be concerned about. But let's move on. NFHS 5 also had a confounding issue. In 21 states, the survey was completed, that is 2019, before the pandemic struck. And other states, the survey was done in 2020 and in 2021, which means you have states where survey was done during the pandemic, and we also have some states where part of the districts were surveyed pre-pandemic and part of the districts were surveyed post-pandemic. So this is one thing which should be of some concern, or at least we should keep a note of that. And NFHS actually released the data, NFHS 5 released the data in two phases, the phase 1 and phase 2. And if you look at the districts, about 489 districts, the survey had been completed before the pandemic. And in about 218, which is not a small number, the survey was done during the pandemic. But still, it's useful to see this particular district on a map. That makes it more interesting. So here is our first map. NFHS 5, the two phases of survey before and during the pandemic. And the map very clearly shows one set of districts, as I said, 489, where the survey got done quickly, and the other set where the survey was done during the pandemic. In a way, one would have been happy if the entire southern zone was done during the pandemic, because then, but such is life. Okay. We then move on, but before that we also look at different states and the districts where survey was done in 2019, where it was done in 2020, and where it was done in 2021. We are giving all these things in one place because what happens is quite often this information is available at different places in a scattered manner. But I am sure our viewers will find it quite useful to have these at one place. So we have given the table for the sake of completeness. But if you move further, we see our first All India map of underweight, how the story has unfolded. What we have done is, we have done a color coding based on the standard traffic light combination, red, yellow and green. Based on the NFHS 4 cutoff, we have kept the cutoff same and we have looked at what happened in NFHS 5. So our benchmark is NFHS 4 and the change in NFHS 5 is on the basis of how it has performed vis-a-vis the NFHS 4 benchmark. Because then we will realize whether gains have been made, gains have not been made. So with the same cutoff, what we essentially see, Rajasthan, MP and UP have been gainers. Okay. Maharashtra loses just by a whisker, 0.1. So if my cutoff was not 36 but 36.1 or 36.2, Maharashtra would have moved from yellow to yellow. So there is a lesson that we should also handle our cutoff with some care. But if we just go by this criteria, then yes, Rajasthan, MP and UP have been gainers. And as I said, Maharashtra just loses by a whisker. Down south, Kerala and Tamil Nadu have retained their situation. Chhattisgarh has improved. Let's look at what has happened to stunting. Again, notice here in stunting, same NFHS 4 cutoffs have been maintained. The cutoff legend is down there. And we are looking at NFHS 5. So we see many states have gained. Gujarat, UP, Jharkhand and Bihar, I think they have remained Meghalaya emerges as a cause of concern. Telangana, vis-a-vis NFHS 4, seems to have come down from the green zone to yellow zone. So this is something we should keep in mind. And in Northeast, Meghalaya is an issue of concern. So we need to look at this more carefully. What has happened to wasting? Now, when we come to wasting, now we see a much larger patch which has shown wasting in NFHS 4. But if you use the same cutoffs, now we see here a large number of states have gained. In fact, Tamil Nadu, Punjab, Haryana, Uttarakhand, notably, Meghalaya gains. Bihar and Himachal. Himachal has surprisingly come down from green zone to yellow. And Bihar and Himachal, they are losers. We raise this issue about severe wasting. Because if severe wasting doesn't go down in tandem with wasting, then the fraction of children who are severely wasted actually goes up. So let's see what has happened to severe wasting. This is how the story looks like. The table, we had already seen that severe wasting has more or less stagnated. We see the same patch more or less in NFHS 4 and NFHS 5. So we need to worry as to what is happening to severe wasting. I think we take a pause here. Please do think this through. What has happened between NFHS 4 and NFHS 5. We'll come back with further analysis. We'll come back to it in our next episode. So please watch this space. Thank you very much.